So today I'm going to take a look at this article here in the Conversation website. I'll leave the link in the description. So you can see that they tout themselves as having academic rigour and journalistic flair. Not really interested in the journalistic flair, that's pretty subjective, but it'll be interesting to look at the academic rigour or otherwise. So we can see here the three authors are pretty well credentialed. There's two professors, I think, there, and a senior research fellow. So they're talking about the vaccine mandates for the NHS in the UK, and they're saying essentially saying with Omicron that it does make sense that was scrapped. Not really sure that the vaccine mandate made a lot of sense in the first place. I think the government was probably playing a dangerous game of chicken with the NHS staff and hoping that there'd be very few that didn't get vaccinated. So if we look at this announcement from the 6th of December from the NHS here, one of the things that they're saying is that the mandate will protect vulnerable people and individual workers in health and social care settings, etc. They're the different places. So if that was the case, you would have expected essentially that they would have sacked every unvaccinated worker in the NHS in December, because the spike in infections was going to be over the winter. So it kind of makes you wonder whether that justification really made sense in the first place, because the rules were to come in 1st of April, but effectively beginning in February 2022. For the first dose, then they put up with problems with patient safety with unvaccinated staff over the winter. So if we go back to the article, they're talking about the ethics of this, and I'm not really interested in getting into an ethical debate. What I want to do really is just look at the analysis here, which I think there's a bit of a problem with. So they're asking, when would a mandate be ethical for any kind of vaccination? So they say there's at least 4 factors that are relevant, but then they actually list only 4. So will the mandate increase vaccine uptake? Will the mandate reduce the infection in hospitals and clinics? Are the benefits proportionate? And are less restrictive policies available that can achieve the same outcome? So the one thing I'm quite surprised that's missing there is basically an impact assessment about the effects on patient safety if too many people decided not to take the vaccination and had to be sacked. I mean, that would be clearly a factor in there, but they don't list that. So anyway, they kind of go on about using flu as an example. So again, I'm not going to get into any kind of debate about the ethics of it. I don't think it's particularly relevant. So what they mention at the end here is one reason provided for the U-turn on the vaccines is a fear of critical staff shortages. Now that is clearly a massive issue. I think the reason why the government's lifted the mandate is perhaps not so much that it's not appropriate, but because of the fact that there were potentially tens of thousands of staff who were going to be sacked. And we already know that the NHS has a staffing problem at the best of times, even before COVID. But this is a strange sentence here, but that would not necessarily apply if staffing problems in the NHS are addressed. But we know that even before COVID and now, there's some kind of significant amount of vacancies. I think kind of getting on for 100,000, certainly in the tens of thousands. So it's not like the government hasn't been trying to recruit people anyway. So it's just a really kind of strange, a very strange comment here. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, in fact, if we look here at this page, I think from the World Health Organization, it makes the point that there's a worldwide shortage of medical staff as well. So it's not just in the UK where we've got so many vacancies that are unfilled. And then if we look at the the infections in the UK on worldometers. I know it may not be the best source because it's just showing the raw data rather than, for example, the number of positive tests per population. But we can see that the sense of the epidemic was once we got into December and then through January, which is pretty much as you'd expect. We had that, you can see the previous winter, and it kind of ties in roughly with with the flu season. So yeah, it doesn't make sense at all to me here that these academics have not looked at the really important thing is what is the what is the cost and benefit of a vaccine mandate, because it's fair enough to say that unvaccinated staff may pose a risk to patients, so that's something that needs to be clearly investigated. But what is the risk of patient safety if you were to get rid of thousands or tens of thousands of staff? I mean, it's always a trade-off in these things. So it's very, very strange that these academics have kind of missed that out, and whether because they didn't think about it, didn't think it was somehow worth discussing, or whether it's maybe because of a particular bias in terms of their outlook here. I'm not really sure. Anyway, so that's it for that article. I'll put the link in the description so that you can look at the article if you like. I'll also put the link to these other websites I've just looked at, and then you can make your own decisions about what you think about the quality of this article.